Welcome back, everyone, to episode 23 of the Rally Report podcast. Got another guest who's been on high demand from the listeners, a household name to the U.S. squash community, the young prodigy who's now taking on the CSA and PSA by storm, ranked 66th in the world, Marina Stefanoni. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I saw that you've been keeping yourself busy since the college season has ended. Saw that you were traveling in the UK, Canada, and you won the Kinetic Challenger in March. Just curious, are you keeping your options open for post-grad, or are you committed to playing the professional circuit after?
As of now, I'm pretty committed to playing professionally after I graduate. During COVID, obviously there are no tournaments, and I really missed competing. So being able to play these last few events has been good. It's been really fun. I have a couple more coming up. So just every tournament is more experience, and I just love it more and more each time.
And how have you been feeling about your game as of late?
I thought it improved a lot over the course of the college season. This is my sophomore year, and this is the first season we had. And I feel like I improved a lot, and maybe hasn't been translating over as much recently in professional matches, but I'm optimistic. And hopefully I get there.
So this was your first college season for competing. So is there a particular reason why you opted to just, go straight into sophomore instead of taking that year off and coming in as a freshman?
Yeah. So I graduated high school early. I'm sure a lot of people know that. It was kind of a story. I wanted to go to college early. And so then I thought that all my efforts in high school to accomplish that would have gone to waste if I took off a year. It was definitely a difficult decision considering you lose a year of the season, you lose a normal year of college experience. But ultimately, I think it was the right choice, and I'm happy with it.
And so, Marina, are you staying away from indulging in the whole college fun and keeping a very strict professional approach? Or are you trying to soak in the college experience, if you know what I mean?
I definitely have fun in college. Like I'm living with my friends, and it's great. But I definitely keep a relatively strict life. I also enjoy having discipline and just.
Okay.
I'm not a party person. But
I was going to ask you if you could give us a weekend recap, just, smashing shots left and right, but it's not the case.
No, unfortunately not. I like hanging out with friends, and that's the fun of it. Yeah. But it's also nice to be able to study and do squash, and it's good. So,
you're definitely a part of the whole wave of college players who are juggling the professional circuit as well. And being that you're relatively new to juggling this, what aspects have been difficult for you, during this transition?
I would say mainly missing class and making up the work. A lot of the most difficult thing to miss would be small classes where you can't watch recorded lectures. But I think that COVID has actually helped people like me or like Victor and Hana Moataz, who are all playing pro and being in college, because there are more recorded classes. So then we can keep up with the work instead of meeting outside of class with professors. And it's been difficult, but I think it's better than it was, which is really nice.
And have you decided what you want to study? Did you have to decide that already?
Yes, we decided last semester. So I'm studying economics with hopefully a secondary in astrophysics.
Whoa.
Yes, it's kind of random.
Astrophysics. And then your professors are pretty understanding. Are they aware of your situation, of how you're taking a little bit of a unique approach to this, student life?
Yeah, for sure. I try to reach out to them early in the semester and just let them know that I play professionally as well as for Harvard, because you miss class for Harvard college events. But when I miss for pro events, then I try to let them know in advance and ask what I can do to make up the work, etc. So for the most part, they're pretty understanding, which has been good.
Some have been uncooperative too.
They're ultimately cooperative, but I think it's a unique situation, and they may not understand. Yeah.
Gotcha. And so you've recently traveled to the UK, right?
Yes.
Have you been traveling alone, or have you got your family coming with you?
No, I've been traveling alone. The first time I traveled alone was about last year to England, which was quite the experience. It was fun. It's
last year, so that's still heat of COVID, right?
Yes, it was. I traveled to the British Open there, and we were trying to be very careful and masks on everywhere. But it was good. Yeah, so I traveled alone to the UK this past week, and then I flew from the UK to Canada for another event. So it was a lengthy trip, but it was fun. My sister joined me in Canada for that tournament, so obviously that was better because I have a buddy with me. But I think as I become hopefully more prevalent on the tour, like going to more tournaments, then I'll find more buddies to hang out with.
Have you got any friends that you've made so far on the tour that you feel comfortable talking to?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see mostly the same people at the tournaments, just like in your ranking area, kind of. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, something that was on my mind, and even the way I introduced you as like the young prodigy, and you still are, but I'm sure you've heard people describe you like that throughout your entire life, countless times. Does it irk you sometimes, the pressure that brings on, or are you just like, bring it on?
I would say I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah.
I think when people still say it, it's a bit, because I'm not so young anymore. I'm 19. And I have a long way to go. So I think I'm not really sure. In juniors, I definitely heard it a lot from all the Americans, but I always knew that even though people may think that, there's so much more for me to learn, and so much more in so many more ways I can improve. So it wasn't really limiting at all. And I didn't feel pressure really. I mean, I didn't feel pressure because I don't really get nervous when I play or anything like that. And the only thing would be that other people then hear, like all the parents and coaches are like, oh, Marina Stefanoni, she's playing. So then whenever I would lose or not be doing as well, it was a much bigger thing than I think it should have been. So I would say that's the only negative, is people's perception and the weight of like a loss or something like that.
Was that something that you had a difficult time during your junior career, especially? It's like, I mean, you didn't do a lot of losing, but I get what you mean. Even as someone who's seen you at these tournaments, if Marina Stefanoni lost, whoa, like what's going on? Like, could you feel that in the room at these tournaments?
Yes. I think if I did lose a tournament, there was like, if I were walking around, there'd be eyes or little voices around up and about. So, it didn't really bother me just cause I knew like it's kind of human nature, but, it was interesting. I think it wasn't really that negative, I would say.
I mean, how did you manage that? And I say this because I was going to ask you anyway, because I don't know at what point it was, but at a certain point, whether it be when you're like 15 or 16, I think there was like a transition period where, as you're saying, like everyone expected you to win everything, especially on the tournaments of the U.S. soil. And the traction you got, you kind of had this aura of celebrity status amongst the U.S. squash community. And you must have known, and how did you manage, to be, as you said, you weren't nervous going into these matches?
I just knew that I always needed to play my best and that there was a target on my back for everyone who's below. But that's for anything. Anyone who's ranked number one will feel some pressure or just know that those who are ranked below want that spot. So it's, I don't know. I really love competition, so I wouldn't say that it was a negative pressure. And also squash it was a pretty small community in the US. I always see the same people. So I was friends with a lot of them. And even though there was that view, I did try to separate it just from like my normal interactions with everyone. Because obviously I am just a person. And yeah, I think mainly the parents, I guess, would be the ones who upheld that the most, just because they want their kids to be doing well. And the United States squash parents, I think, are definitely uptight.
Yeah, they could be something.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, is your dad your coach? What do you say?
My dad was my coach up and through, I mean, basically my whole junior career. Like, he'd coach me at tournaments. But like technically I would work with different people throughout my junior career. And obviously now I'm at Harvard, so I work with Mike Way. But yeah, my dad coached me in all junior tournaments.
And yeah, as someone who's also, seen you at these tournaments and have seen your dad coach you, how were you able to separate the relationship from your dad being your coach from your dad being your dad? Was that a difficult aspect for you growing up?
I think I had always worked with him in sports and stuff. And we were very close, and we would have so many practices on court. Mainly mental practices, because when I was really young, I would play with him because he could hit the ball. But then obviously I got better quickly, so then he could no longer rally with me. So then it was more we'd have mental practices and like what I should be doing on court. And he would just come like watch me solo and things like that. So there's always support there. And then, so I think those roles were always interlocked. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I never felt like I had to separate them, which was maybe a unique situation, but.
And then now you're just working with Mike Way. Is there someone else you're working with outside, or?
I've never really pinned myself down to one coach. Just I'm at Harvard right now, so if I'm looking for advice and feedback, I'll go to Mike Way or Luke Hammond and Hamid Ahmed, because they're the main coaches here. But when I'm at home, I've worked with just a lot of people, because I think everyone has something to offer. So I don't like limiting myself to just one person, because I think different perspectives are useful. And honestly, all coaches are different too. Some focus more on the technical aspects of the game. Some focus more on the mental. Some focus more on the physical. So, yeah, I've worked with a lot of people. It would be difficult to give credit to everyone I've worked with at this point.
Okay. Do you like foresee yourself like this even post grad? Do you see yourself like bouncing around here and there, working with different people?
I'm not really sure. I think I have a good base already. So maybe later in my career, it would make more sense to just have one person. But I think growing up, it was nice to have different people in my life helping out.
Yeah. And speaking of, what's your dynamic like with your little sister?
With Lucie, she's great. Yeah, we went to so many tournaments and juniors together, and she's come to a couple pro tournaments. Like I said, she came to Canada with me, which was really nice.
Is she also thinking of professional?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think she's still in high school, so there's some time.
Is she a senior or?
She's a junior. Yeah.
Okay. And is so the college process is
going
underway
on right now.
Do you have the exclusive take on where she wants to go?
Not really, just because in the process, not supposed to say anything, and I'll keep true to that just because I know I didn't want people having
people me. I tried my best to poke at her for the exclusive take, but
sorry to disappoint.
Not successful on that. But given your junior career and the success you've had, was there a conversation that you were like, screw college, I want to go professional right away? Was it always in the plan to go to college first?
It was always in the plan to go to college. I think that's very normalized in the US. And also I always wanted to go pro once I got better in juniors, just because as I said, I love competing. Tournaments are great. And I think traveling the world and doing what I love would be amazing, at least for the beginning part of my life. But college I really like school as well. And I think I would regret not experiencing college and learning some things because they could open doors down the road.
Okay. So you were pretty set on going to college and then professional after. And now that you are at Harvard, you want to give us the story of how you decided on Harvard, and, where else you could have gone and what stood out for Harvard?
Yeah. So when I was a sophomore, I decided that I wanted to graduate early. I went to my high school guidance counselor and asked if it was possible. So then I got all the requirements done. And then
wait, sorry. How did that conversation go? You just went up to your guidance counselor's like, I'm done.
Well, I set up a meeting and I said, this might be odd, but I have a lot of credits completed already. I am thinking about graduating early if that's a possibility. And luckily, this very kind lady had worked with somebody who had graduated early before. So I think she was honestly the only one in the school who could have helped me. So it was very, very lucky. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so credit to her, Miss Messinio. Thank you very much. Yeah, so then I got all the requirements done. I basically set a plan for how I was going to do it. And then obviously my sophomore year became my recruiting year, unknown to all the college coaches, of course. So I knew that if you have sophomore status, you're not allowed to talk to college coaches and they're not allowed to reach out to you. So I didn't really know how to approach it, but I made contact with Harvard coaches just to tell them that I was going to graduate early and if it was possible for me to talk to them, given that I am a sophomore but graduating. So
it's way too complicated with
all the rules. Yeah. Yes. I just wanted to play everything by the rules so nothing would go wrong. And in order to do that, because I knew that it would be a very big story or just a big thing in the squash world that I was doing this. So I wanted to keep it under wraps just because it would make it easier for me. I wouldn't have to explain myself to people. Obviously I'm fine explaining myself to people now, but when I was a sophomore, I didn't really feel like doing that. So I just thought about all the colleges and what I was looking for. Obviously I was looking for a really great team, squash level, but also like the personalities on the team, and the academic, level of the college. So, I mean, Harvard was an obvious choice for me because I knew some of the girls on the team and I really liked them. And I thought Mike Way would be a really good influence on my squash game. And he's a very nice coach, very nice person. And the school is really nice. I had seen it before playing junior tournaments and the campus is pretty. So then I just decided on Harvard.
So you didn't even bother reaching out to other schools?
I did not reach out to other schools, mainly to keep it quiet, I think. So I tried to decide beforehand. And obviously, if Harvard didn't want me, then I would, like anyone else, I would reach out to other schools and see what was open. So it was a bit of a gamble, I guess. But I thought, hey, that's where I wanted to go.
Panned out perfectly. So just entertain me in this hypothetical, but if Harvard had said, no, Marina, it's not going to work out between us, is there another school right now on top of your head that you'd be like, okay, I think I need to consider this school?
Let me think briefly. I think that in my junior career, toward the latter end of it, I trained at Yale a lot with Lynn Leong, who's the head coach now. So I think Yale has a special place in my heart, for sure. Princeton is a pretty school. I'm not sure about going down a couple levels to the basement of the squash courts. I don't know. I'd never seriously thought about that because obviously I was
pretty sad,
young and hopeful. So
no, completely get it. I just wanted to ask you that just to rub it into the other schools. What could have been?
What could have been? No, been. So I don't know. I think maybe Yale. was up there for sure.
So it seems like location was a big thing for you, being in Connecticut. And I mean, Boston's not too far off either.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me about Harvard, and the whole, I think what's so interesting about the college squash thing is the whole ladder dynamic, from like going to playing exclusively for yourself to then, not for yourself, but then you're kind of also, as a competitive person, the ladder thing does get into a lot of people's heads. How do you manage all that dynamic?
Yeah. So this year was the first year we had the ladder and that I was competing with the other girls for a spot for the place on the team. I really like college squash because you are certainly playing for yourself because you want to do well in your matches. You want to see where you are. You want to beat people, but you're also playing for your team because it directly affects the result of your team. So for me, playing on the ladder, it was never a stressful thing, like where I was going to end up, because I knew that if I played my best, I would end up where I belonged. So at the beginning of the season, for a couple matches, I played 1. And then towards the end of the season, I was playing 2 below Hana Moataz, who is really sweet. I love her, Egyptian girl, who is a senior. So she's graduating this year. And she's going to be playing full-time pro after college.
That's exciting.
So I trained a lot with her. And even though I played 2, there's never honestly, the improvement I got from just being on a team with her was incredible. So the ladder was a good thing because it pushed me to want to be better. Yeah. Because I was playing 2, not 1. But it was, I think it's good as long as you don't care too much about.
Do you think you've found like the perfect balance right now with how you deal with that?
Yeah, I think so. Because I feel like I played well this season and that I trained hard. So I don't have any regrets there. I think the only way I would have been disappointed or felt stressed about a ladder situation, like for all the colleges, would be if I'm not playing my best. And then I regret not doing that.
Yeah, pretty successful year, winning the team championships and making it to the semifinals of the individuals. Not too bad.
Yes, our team did really well. We were all really happy.
Yeah, that was great. So how many times has Harvard won in a row right now for the women's team?
Ooh, you can't quote me on it, but I think it's around 6. I think.
And it is quite nuts.
Which is quite a number.
Yeah. Hopefully other teams start giving a better challenge to this. But what's your short-term goals for you for next year, whether it be college squash, whether it be the PSA? Do you have any ambitions for that?
Yeah, definitely. So next year, our number 1 is graduating. So I'm looking at the number 1 spot, but I think it'll be similar. Like if I just play my best and I end up deserving the number 1 spot, that'll be great. But if it doesn't work out, then there are more years to come. But I'm hoping I'll train hard over the summer and still training hard now. So I'm definitely excited for next year's college season because I think it'll be tough. There's certainly some really good teams upcoming, like Drexel and Trinity. They're going to be tough competitors next year. And as for the PSA, I really feel like I'm just trying to maintain where I'm at on the ranking so that I can get into tournaments. Obviously, I would love to get some big wins and things like that. But it's tough to play a lot when you're in school. So,
I think I've asked, I think Andrew Douglas might have said this. Does it bother you when you see, the girls you were playing with in your junior years move up the rankings so quickly now, breaking into the top 30? Does that ever get to you? Or are you like, it's fine, I know the path I'm taking right now?
I know the path I'm taking and I feel fine with it right now. I think there's certain events that I hope I had done better. And then people I played with in juniors, if they shoot up quicker than me, obviously I wish that my ranking was the same, but we have different situations, so I can't really compare myself to them. Damn. So I would try not to let that get to me.
I mean, something I've even noticed throughout this interview is just how relaxed you are. Have you always been like this?
Yeah, I think so. Or a lot of people say that. Yeah,
just very laid back. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move into the quick fire segment with you. If you will entertain me in this, some squash related ones. Marina, if you're 10-love down in the 5th game, are you the player to go for it, or are you going to play it out?
The first serve return, I would probably go for a shot. And if I make it and I win the point, then I'd play for real. And see what happens.
Yeah.
But 10-love is never over.
So, okay.
If anyone hearing this is ever 10-love up on me, just know that I'm coming back.
That's a great way to put it. I don't think anyone has said that. I think most people have been like, I'm getting out of there as soon as possible. But what are your thoughts on best of 3? I
am not a fan of best of 3, especially for the women's game, just because our matches tend to be shorter. Mm-hmm. And best of 3, your match could be 17 minutes, which is, I don't know, not very exciting. And also, I think some players take longer to get to get into the match. And I think having a best of 5 is just, I don't know, more exciting for me, at least, to watch, because the dynamics can change so much throughout a match. And you might lose that if you play best of 3.
Yeah. And then what are your thoughts on softball doubles?
Softball doubles, the one with the wide walls?
Yeah. I mean, the one that they had the world championships for.
Okay, yeah. I've only played one time before, and I was not very good. But I think it's a cool game. I think it takes getting
stick with singles.
For sure. I think I will stick to singles, but softball doubles is a cool game. And it's fast-paced, the low tin and everything. Yeah.
If you were to, who would you want as your partner?
If we could train and be devoted to it.
You got a full year to devote for this. Yeah.
I would probably say my sister, because I think the sister bond could maybe beat some people.
Yeah, you could be comfortable calling her out.
Yeah.
And then, are you more of a solo practice, or are you like practicing in groups?
In my junior career, I mostly just soloed. So I would have said 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said I'm definitely a solo person. But now being able to train and do drills and condition games and match play and things like that in group setting, I would say I'm more of that now.
Yeah. And then, what are your thoughts on commentators for squash?
Commentators. I like some good commentary. I think sometimes when commentators stray too far from the point and stray too far from actually talking about squash, it can be a little distracting if it's a match you're really invested in. But I think it can enhance a match.
And who would you like to see in the commentator's booth? We're not usually there.
Well, I mean, the one usually there on the PSA is Joey. Yeah. I think he's great. He's so funny. I honestly don't know who I would like to see in there. I've heard there are definitely some times when they just bring in players sometimes, which is cool.
Yeah. Would you want to do it if they had asked you?
I think I would need a trial match, like a couple. I would commentate maybe a couple practice matches before the real thing. I don't know. That seems a bit. I'm not very good at just talking and going, so I don't know if I would be the best at that. I think the fans might be a bit bored.
Yeah. It's a little harsh critique on yourself, but what are your thoughts on the high tin, low tin?
I love the low tin. I think it was the best decision PSA ever made for women. Yeah, I really, really like it.
So are you a big ambassador for the college squash to change to low tin?
I think that would be great. I don't think they will, but there's also, I mean, there's a greater range of level and physicality on the college circuit. So I don't know if it would be reasonable. But like for the pros, I think it's great because it makes like the game so much more physical.
And Marina, this is something I picked up on, but is there a reason why you're not switching your racket and you've been sticking with an ancient model right now?
Yes, it is quite old. I just really like it. And I don't know. I just really like it. I think change is something that can be good, but also change can be not so good. So if what's working is working, then.
So for the people out there who are listening, Marina, you want to give them a little scoop of what racket you're using and how long you've been using it for?
I'm using the 125S Carboflex, the red and black one. So that was, I think, the model right after the original Technofiber black and yellow one. If you guys remember what that one was. That was actually the best racket of all time.
I actually kind of agree with you. I think
I think Technofiber should bring it back. So if anyone's listening,
that was incredible.
Bring that back.
And then they started branching out and, releasing like new models. But yeah, that yellow one was incredible. And what do you use your string tension for? What do you put it as?
Honestly, I always forget what I set it at. So it's either 26 or 27. I go back and forth between those because I can't remember what I do at home, but it's more or less the same. So.
Have you tried experimenting on really loose one?
I think sometimes the string tension is not what you asked for. So then you end up with a much looser racket or much tighter racket. And I think the actual tension I like is around 26, 27, because too loose, I feel just, you can feel the ball on the strings a bit longer. It's a very small difference, but you feel it. So I don't really like that feeling.
Gotcha. And what are your thoughts on nicknames for PSA players? And what do you think your nickname should be?
I think some of the nicknames are funny. Some of them are good.
What's your favorite? You can drop a couple of favorites.
My favorite nickname. Who's oh man, I don't really know what my favorite one is. I think some of them are slightly ridiculous.
All right, you want to even. Which ones do you think are ridiculous?
Well, some of the ones I think are funny is definitely the Beast of Alexandria from Mohammed El-Shabagi. That one is definitely funny. And then for Laura Massaro, the Ice Queen, that was just interesting. Oh, what's Sherbini's? The Warrior Princess.
The Warrior Princess.
She deserves more respect than that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, she's so good. I feel like Warrior Princess doesn't live up to what she is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna give Goar the Terminator,
I think that's apt, though. I think Sherbini also deserves something just as good. But and what do you think your nickname should be? I don't know. People used, when I was younger, people would call me like the Terminator, but obviously that is taken now. And I think I wouldn't live up to that anyway. So I don't know. Maybe an animal. I like the animal ones. The golden, like was what Joel Makins is, the golden raccoon or something.
Okay. How about, what are your thoughts on coaching? Do you like coaching? Have you ever done coaching?
The coaching from me to other people.
Yeah.
This past summer, I worked a little bit with some kids and doing clinics and stuff like that. So I enjoy coaching. You
didn't mind the kids?
No, I like the kids who are the younger ones because they like to have fun and listen. I think once they're teenagers, it's hard to get them to listen.
Yeah, it's tough.
So I apologize to my parents if I was ever like that.
And all right, so a couple of good ones. Who do you think is the most underrated player on tour?
Most underrated player? I think maybe, I don't know, maybe like for right now, I would say Hana Moataz, because I think she has a lot of upside. It just hasn't been able to play much on the tour yet.
I think she's going to storm up the rankings.
Yes, I think so too. And also, I would have said Gina last year, but then obviously she proved her worth. So
Yeah.
She proved her worth very, very
It's
quickly.
crazy how quick. Like I had her on December, and I was like, "Oh, you're so." She was like about to crack the top 10. Like a week later, she's like cracked into the top 10. It's like, okay, this is
Very
getting
impressive.
nuts. And one player you dislike playing.
I dislike playing. I would say, I mean, anyone who's just super sharp, because it's difficult to hit tight balls when everyone else is hitting tight balls. So I would say person I dislike playing. I haven't played that many upper level PSA players. However, I'll just say my most recent one, I played Holly Naughton, and she was very clinical, had good kills. So I would say maybe her.
Yeah.
I've only played her once, so it's not like a consistent
But it was
thing,
a tough, yeah.
Yeah, but it was a tough physical match, and she hit her marks.
Gotcha.
So maybe her.
Okay. Well, thank you for dropping a name on that one. But okay,
Yes,
we're going to move on
anytime.
to some life-related ones, just for fun. Marina, if you're shipwrecked on an island, but all your basics are covered, what are the two things you bring with you?
So all the basic needs are covered.
Yeah.
I would bring my dog, and I would bring pencils and a pad to draw.
Oh shit! Are you an artist?
I'm not an artist, but I draw. I
like to draw.
really like pencil drawings.
Gotcha. Now, best and worst purchase you've ever made?
Best purchase was a very recent purchase. I got a Razor scooter to get to practice, get to class. And it's honestly so fun. It makes me feel like I'm 5 years old going everywhere. I have a blast every time I'm on it. So even the most boring ride has just become amazing. So anyway, that's the best purchase. Worst purchase would maybe be I got bubble tea the other day, but without boba, because they didn't have boba. So I would say that
Never again.
never again. It was just a completely different experience, and it was awful.
Gotcha. And now, biggest pet peeve for you?
Biggest pet peeve. Either I think people chewing gum really loud and smacking it. Because that's annoying.
That is annoying. How about even for food as well, when they're chewing loudly with food? Or is that fine?
Yeah, that's less common though, I think.
Yeah.
I think people tend to have better food manners than gum manners.
And do you have another one? It seemed like you had a couple on your mind right away.
I was just trying to think. Oh yeah, I guess if people make plans and then they change them all of a sudden. Or they say they're going to do something and then they don't do something. I think that's bad character.
It is infuriating.
It is, yes, annoying.
And favorite non-squash athlete for you?
When I was younger, I loved Lionel Messi. So I might just stick with him.
Let's see. So it's a good one.
It's a great athlete, yeah.
Insane. And favorite squash athlete?
Favorite squash athlete. This definitely ties into just my favorite squash player. It's changed so many times, but for the women, Renee Melville, and then for the men, it has changed a couple times.
Just give us a run.
I don't know.
through.
I think I'm between right now. I really don't know.
Who are you between?
Last it was Joel Macon, and now not really sure. I think I need.
Why did Joel Macon lose the spot? What do you do?
Because
you had a bad experience with him.
No.
He didn't say hi back to you.
He didn't do anything. I just there are players that are up and coming, So as I said, it's changed a lot. So
sure. I think I'm just going to clip that part and put it on Instagram and then tag Joel making it.
Oh, goodness.
But,
well, he's still it for now. So,
okay.
You're welcome.
Are there a couple of upcoming players that you're keeping an eye on that you want to mention?
Let me think. Just the ones I can remember were up and coming about a year ago, and now they're established.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I think I'll just make an overall comment. What's interesting is that on the tour, in the ranking, I don't know, the rankings from about 45 through 65, I think in there are some really great squash players who are going to rise into the top 40.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of breaking into the higher level tournaments, which is difficult to do when you're in that ranking group, unless you have good wins and just because seeding is difficult. So I think that we're going to see in the next couple of years a lot of players within there moving up and then maybe overtaking some of the players who are slightly above.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially on the women's tour. The depth right now is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And anyone can make an upset right now. And as you said, it's really about the seeding. It makes a huge difference. But I'm going to wrap this up with Instagram questions that I got for you. Got a lot. some ones that I'm not going to mention, but let's start out with shout out Willie. Thoughts on Harvard dining?
Harvard dining it's up and down. It's a little hit or miss.
If you could give it a number rating for the Harvard dining, what would you put it as?
I'll say a 6. A 6.
Very mediocre.
But we do have a grill option where you can get cheeseburgers, hot dogs, and they have that almost every night. Mm-hmm. So that makes it a lot better. If that did not exist, I think it would be maybe a 4. But I do appreciate that it is food and I can eat. So thank you very much to Harvard Dining to keeping me alive.
And then I think it's a good follow-up. Someone asked, do you have a diet plan? Clearly she does, people. She's smashing the burgers anytime the grills.
I do not have a diet plan. I think I often, whenever I sit down at the dining hall with my with my tray of food, people are like, how are you a professional athlete? I love eating food and I think I'm fit. I'm comfortable with myself. So if I want to eat cheeseburgers, 3 glasses of milk, ice cream, and some potato chips, no one's
stopping you from eating.
I think everyone should just accept that.
Okay. That's, and what is your current most played song?
Current most played song. Recently, whenever I like songs and it shows up in my Spotify, I'll listen to like the top 15 until I get tired of them, and then I go to the new songs. So I don't know. Right now, I really like Vienna by Billy Joel, and then also The Worst of You by Noah Cyrus and PJ Harding. It's a very pretty song.
And Nathan Lake asked, does she eat kiwi skin? I
do. Nathan knows that.
What is the story? What is going on here?
I didn't know. When I went to New Zealand for the Junior Worlds, they just had kiwis out. They had like little packages of kiwis, and they had spoons and knives you could eat them with. And then someone told me, I forget who it was, but one of the kiwis, the New Zealanders, told me that you should eat the skin because it tastes good. And then you don't have to. It's not as messy because you're just biting it like an apple. And it's honestly really, really good because it's the part where the skin is around the meat of the kiwi is the most sour part. So you miss that if you're just eating it with a spoon and a knife.
It's just something about the texture of the kiwi skin that kind of freaks people out. But
it's a bit fuzzy, but as long as you wash it, then it's just part of the fruit. So it's okay. It's good though. I recommend.
Yeah, everyone out there, you start eating your kiwi skin. And I'm not going to let you know who asked this question, but someone asked, who is the best Chelsea peers coach you've had? I'm not actually. I'm going to stop it right there.
Besides who?
Why don't you just give an answer?
Best Chelsea Piers coach I had.
It's a tough one, Marina.
Oh, very tough. Well, I definitely can't say I had a best or a favorite because I'm still really close with all of them. Like Rye Harrogate was one of my best buds throughout juniors. Mm-hmm. He was just always so friendly at the club and so nice. And then Sapreet Singh, also another legend. I still keep up with both of them. And then Arturo Barreto, he's great. He's my sister's coach.
He was one of the besides.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my sister's coach, and obviously I still keep up with him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all of them. There is really no favorite.
Gotcha.
I'm not just saying that.
Person who asked, that was Avar Ghosh. I think that was his Instagram handle.
Not sure, but
he says besides Arturo Barreto and Andreas Vargas was his question.
Oh, Andreas.
But I guess
he was when I was really young.
Keep making them excuses, Marina.
No, but I love him too. There were so many people, so many good people who came through Chelsea Piers.
Sure.
So many good people.
Sure. And then I'm going to wrap it up with the last question by Brooke. Do you have a timeline when you want to beat the older American pro women players?
I mean, I guess as soon as possible. They're playing really well right now.
That's
Olivia
incredible.
Victor, Amanda, Sabrina, Olivia, the other Olivia. Yeah, I guess that's just with any of the other players on the tour. I just want to play my best and get there as soon as possible. So gotcha. ASAP is my answer.
Well, there are a bunch of others, but I'm not going to ask all of it. But I think we're going to wrap it up there, folks. Thank you, Marina, for joining in. That was loads of fun.
Thanks for having me.